Welcome to Tyrompers No Limit Podcast.
What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining Tyrompers No Limit Podcast, episode number 35. And I know it's number 35 because we got the man, the myth, the legend on here. He's my business, one of the guys I do business with every day, the editor-in-chief of this awesome YouTube channel. This is a man that has lost over 50 pounds in the last couple of years, completely changed his body, mind, and life. This is a man that is getting married to the love of his life in less than a week. Can't wait for you. Excited about that, my man. A man that allegedly has the most controversial Major League Baseball power rankings on YouTube each Sunday. As I look back, I feel like my Cardinals should be higher. A man that once quit his job, left all his friends and family to live in a car for weeks on time playing poker across the country. I want to hear that story more. This is a man that is just a world-class YouTube editor, one of my best brothers, one of my best friends in life, a guy that I really just love to death, man. Welcome to the pod, Mr. Alex. How are we doing today, Alex Hart?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. It's quite an honor after watching the first 34 episodes and having my fingers in there a little bit. And with the new videos, it's a pleasure to be on here. And honestly, it's great to know you.
Man, yeah, I feel the same way, dude. It's, you're a guy that I connected with through social media about a year ago or so. And I know you're on this massive self-improvement journey at the time, man. And can you kind of walk us through, maybe tell people a little bit about you who might not know you? And obviously we want to link everything Alex does. This is literally one of my favorite humans on earth, guys. So
I appreciate that.
A little story, my man.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how much you even know about some of my background. Grew up basically out in the middle of nowhere in Ontario, Canada. Population like 50, 100 people. We had a general store, but it closed down due to lack of people after some time. Lived out there until I was about 11, 12 years old. Experienced actually some domestic violence in my household and some trauma as a kid, which kind of resulted in my parents going their separate ways and us moving to the city where I went to high school. And that's pretty much your average. Outside of that, your average kind of little guy growing up, playing sports, eventually getting into poker and doing good in school, but never really liking school, but had a mom as a teacher, so had to perform at least in school. Got there, graduated, went on to university because in my household, it was pretty much an expectation. You're going to go there, get that diploma, because as my mom would say, it's that piece of paper. What you learn doesn't matter. It's the piece of paper. It's going to open up a ton of opportunities, and it definitely did for me. So I went and studied some business accounting, but realistically, I was studying poker in the back of the classroom, basically not paying attention to any of my courses, just playing poker. Still managed to graduate half a year later than expected because I did fail advanced financial accounting along the way. But we got it done, and that's basically led me to that. Worked at McDonald's for 10 years, from age 14 to 24. So a long time, but it really helped create a work ethic inside of me, and they taught me a lot. Started from your kitchen burger flipping guy to working my way up to eventually when I was 24 after university, my title was actually people manager. Wow. So I was in charge of like the labor budget, the training, and yeah, stuff to do with people, like reviews and stuff like that. Eventually, I hit a point there where the pay at McDonald's is kind of where you hit a ceiling, and that I had a review where they kind of were like rooting me on, like, hey, you're doing awesome, but here's $500 raise for the next year. I'm just like, that's kind of where I hit my wall with them. I loved working at McDonald's. It was always a lot of fun. And I hear you talk about that with the bank and the people always made it fun to go there, but eventually the pay reached its thing. So that eventually transitioned into me jumping into insurance. So I went into underwriting at a company in Toronto for it was honestly, I only lasted a year and a half there before poker really took its full force over me. And I started realizing I was making more hourly playing poker than I was at a day job. And the passion kind of drove me out of working the corporate life for the first time, at least.
I can definitely relate to that and understand that. When did you first discover poker, Alex? How old were you?
I must have been like 12,
Okay.
10. The first time I ever got introduced to poker is in the movie Maverick, as a kid. And then me and my brother would sit in the basement. We'd play like 5-card stud. We played Spit in the Ocean, all these different variations. We'd look up online, which different card games we could play. So we kind of did that. But high school, I guess, is where I really started to like, oh, okay, this is something that, oh, it's a skill game. My friends in high school, we'd play at lunch. We'd play in our spares whenever we had a class off. And I would actually even start going to local pubs where they would have little tournament, $20 tournaments, which were highly probably illegal at the time. And I'm like a 16, 15-year-old kid in there. But took a couple of those down, and at the time, a couple $100 felt
All
big.
the money in the world, man.
Yeah,
15.
exactly.
That's awesome, man. And then you started getting more into it online in college too?
Yeah, that's when in college, at the end of high school, I started playing like the 5-cent, the 10-cent games, as we all, as you know, but we all start in the low stakes, and 50, you lose your first $50 and then
Yeah,
work away. And then in college is when it really took to the next level. I was able to pay through my university, basically with a mix of the McDonald's, but also a lot of the poker. I graduated without any debt and all that, which
awesome.
was quite an accomplishment, because I did not have any support financially from my parents, of course. My mom being the single mom she was, pretty much on my own from age 14 on financially, just kind of supporting my way through. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Man, so you had to grow up pretty quick, it sounds like, too, kind of from your childhood, and you had a lot of
Yeah.
responsibility on you. And then when do you kind of, because it seems like I only know kind of this new this guy that's like highly motivated, that's always trying to get better, that's this growth mindset. But kind of when did you make that shift, and what kind of caused that shift?
So I would say that in my life, there's like 2 times. So like the first time, I've always been someone that what I do, I want to be really good at. I'm very competitive, but there's always been times where I get into this groove and I kind of walking through the motions, right? So I would say the first time I really got a slap in the face, wake up, let's get after it, was when I was in a serious relationship for probably like 4 or 5 years. I was living with this girl, and we ended up breaking up. And at the time, it felt like it was like the world. My world was falling apart, and all that jazz that you hear when relationships fall apart. And that's when I found the gym, and I started going to the gym. And that was my first little experience with personal development, really. I did that. I started doing meditation. I started doing the spiritual side of things as well. And during that growth period is actually when I was able to realize that, okay, I'm working in insurance at this time. I break up with this girl and I'm getting better, and I'm realizing I'm not happy in this corporate job. And it's time for me to like do something. That's when the poker thing really came in. I was really getting better at that too. That was a big focus for me at that time as well. So I guess that was it. And I took that leap at that time and quit my job. Like I said, I found out I was making more money per hour. So I was like, why should I not at least try to see what I can do with this? And
if you're young with no kids, no relationship, if you got to pay $700 a month rent, and that's all, and your food, why not take a shot at that point?
Yeah,
you got a bunch of kids around and things like that. But when you're young, that's the time to go for it.
Yeah, I was about 24 years old, 25 at that time. 33 now, so it was about 8 years ago.
Nice.
And yeah, just it's funny. I remember I started telling people slowly. I had planned it all out. I had already put my 2 weeks in before I even started telling anyone what I was doing. I'd already mapped out where I was going to stay along the way across, because I stayed all across Canada and ended up in Vancouver. But I had planned it all out because I'd always heard that you don't tell people what you plan to do, you do it, and then they kind of understand. And I remember about a week before I had scheduled myself to leave, I had the conversation with good old Mama Bear, and she just laughed at me. She's like, "Yeah, sure, I'm sure you're gonna do that. I'm sure you're gonna, yeah, whatever." She just thought I was joking. So it was quite a surprise to her, I think, when I was like, "No, actually,
you actually did quit."
Yeah, I actually already had quit. I already had put in my notice where I was renting, and I was already planned. It was already planned in my head. I just had this realization that what's the worst that's going to happen. Like you said, I was young. I wasn't attached to anything really. Worst case scenario, I was in an industry such as insurance where you can get back in. They need people all the time. It's a skill set that you can get. And once you have the designation like I had, you pretty much land a job anywhere again. So there was nothing really to lose.
Yeah, there seems like there's no downside. And I think anybody listening to that could have a takeaway. You know, when I talk to a lot of older people now, that's the one big thing I hear. And I hear this over and over again. You know what? I wish I would have, like, I always felt like I had a talent for quilting and I made them for a few friends. And all my friends always told me that I should start this business, but then I had kids and I just never got around to it. You know, now I'm older and it's too late, you know, and I've heard the same story probably 100 times from older people that kind of journeyed through life. And so I think, why not shoot your shot? You know what I mean? I never want to get to the end of my life either and say, well, what if I had tried this? You know, what if I'd chased my passion or my dreams? So I think that's awesome, man. So you go for it. Now at this time, I've seen some of your old poker vlogs. You started making poker vlogs, right?
Yeah, I started making some poker vlogs. At the time, that was more of a way that I found to keep myself accountable and just like, hey, I was kind of going through a rough stretch. Maybe I'm not playing so great. And I just found it as a way to, all right, I'm going to keep my track of my journey and kind of use it as a tool more than anything. I wasn't really expecting it to go anywhere. I only made, I think, like 8 episodes or something like that. Yeah. And actually those vlogs came when I was actually back in my current role, and I'm back in insurance, as you know, and it's back in my current role. Those vlogs, so poker's kind of taken more of a hobby / side hustle role in my life right now. Yeah. I think during that time, the year and a half where I was traveling and doing the poker, I hit a point where it's just like, poker is not very fulfilling if it's your only thing you're doing. I was playing 50, 60 hours a week. I was in a casino or in a office like this, staring at a screen for those 60 hours by yourself, facing hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars swings. And you're honestly surrounded by, when you're in a casino, miserable people that are losing money that they can't really afford to lose. And honestly, I felt like I was wasting my life, honestly, at the time. So I kind of had, I guess, not a mental breakdown, but like a real, like, eye-opening moment where it's just like, I need to do something different. And I just started thinking, going to go back and try to help people. And that's how this insurance job that I'm currently in kind of came to me. It was presented like to deal with people that were injured in accidents and helping them to recover and walk them through that kind of stuff. So I thought at the time, at least I'll be able to help some people along the way. And honestly, they offered me a salary that I hadn't seen before. So it was like triple what I had left 2 years before. So at the time, I was just like, okay, this is at least a very good stepping stone to help me really build a life. Because at that time, I had met my wife to be in a week, and we had started to get pretty serious. We were living together, and I was like, okay, this can really help me build a foundation for what our lives can be for the rest of our lives, really.
That's awesome, man. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. And dude, I can relate to, when you're saying that, I can literally picture myself back about 7-8 years ago when maybe it was 9 years ago, 10 years ago, when Black Friday hit. And up until then, I just loved poker. It was this amazing game. Yep. I Supernova Elite. I could play a ton of games, and it's like there's very consistent, good living. I had a good schedule. But then when I played live poker for about 1.5 or 2 years, dude, I was just a miserable human, man. I couldn't, your whole life is just trying to pick apart people and exploit their weaknesses. And like, I just didn't like it, man. I wanted to be more friends. And I found myself wanting to help people in the casino as opposed to like trying to get their last dollar. And I realized that I can't do that. You know, I enjoy online when I'm playing guys who, you know, for better or worse, I know a lot of guys that play online that it's just fun money. They're going to put $1,000 on there. They own businesses. That's going to be it, you know. But live, it seemed like a whole different animal, and that always mentally weighed on me. Like when I quit poker for good to go back and be a part-time teller and earn $11 an hour at Chase Bank, I was averaging about 180 an hour, playing 510 and 1020 over that last year, over a pretty big sample. But just the travel, living in a casino, living out of a suitcase, I saw where my life was going too. And I wanted to be like more of a light and more help people than just,
Yeah.
I don't know,
No.
but I love poker, and I think we're of the same mindset. Like I love doing it as a side hustle, but when people ask me like, oh, should I be a poker pro? I'm always like, dude, do it as a side hustle. Find something else that you love that you can make money
Yeah.
at too, and do it as a side hustle. There's no pressure then. It's fun.
Yeah, poker is almost like the perfect side hustle if it's something you love. But it's like people tell you, like once you turn something into a job, it changes, and that's 100% fact. And like just the people, like watching people, it's one thing to play on a Friday night at a casino, everyone's out drinking, having a good time. But when you're the grinder, the playing 60 hours a week, you're seeing 3 a.m.s where the guy is super wasted and he just his last little bit of dollars going in the middle, and he's going home, and he's going home and his family's it's not a good feeling. And so that definitely started to weigh on me, and I know I was put here for something bigger than that, so that's kind of what drove me
That's awesome.
to leave it and do
Let's
something
talk
else.
about that, man, because it seems like a couple years ago, then you had this second kind of big epiphany where, hey, maybe you didn't like the body you were in and sort of that. So what sparked the big change to lose? You're over 50 pounds now, right?
55 going on 60, but not even just the weight.
It's amazing.
My muscle and my mind. It's just a lot. So yeah, we quit poker and I go into the insurance and kind of get into this routine. I'm in this relationship now for probably 4 years, and things are just kind of going, and it's you kind of just, I guess, get on autopilot for lack of a better word. But you know what? People will disagree, but I think COVID-19 was like, or whatever, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but was like the best thing that ever happened. And I joke and say to my friends that the reason that it happened was because of me. Because March 2020 was like the biggest wake-up call of my life. We had just been sent home from our offices to work from home, as most people around the world were, at least in this side of the world. And it's like late March, so I've been working home for a week, but I am in like the most absolute worst back pain that I can ever experience, that I've experienced. And I've been actually dealing with this back pain for a better part of 2 years, but I'd just been ignoring it, pretty much ignoring it. But I got to the point in March 2020 where I'm on the floor right behind me, on the floor, and I can't even get up. Like I can't even, I'm not strong enough to do a push-up. I'm 260 pounds and I'm lying on the floor, and I'm just like, my wife to be's out in the other room, Kristen, and she's off work because of the same thing. And I'm thinking there on the floor, I'm just like, wow, like if something were to happen, I would be useless. I would not be able to protect my family. I would not be able to protect myself. And COVID-19, like it was just a wake-up call that no one is going to save me. I gotta be responsible for myself. And that was the breaking moment for me, just lying on the floor back there, 2020.
Man, that's powerful. I'm sure a lot of thoughts going through your head when that happens, right? Like, is this who I want to be? And then you can see sort of the trajectory of your life. I remember my kind of come to Jesus moment where I cried for 3 or 4 hours one night, got a notebook and wrote down, I'm going this way and I'm freaking stopping, and I'm going the other way. And, I like how you said that about COVID. And I remember when COVID first hit, that was my hope. And I remember telling Annie, and, it's obviously a sad thing anytime there's loss of life and all.
Yes.
We're not saying it's a good thing, right? But it was a positive thing for our family too, because it slowed us down. It made us really realize what's important, what's between these walls, and nobody else out there really does care about you. You have to take ownership of your life. And if you want to be healthy, then you have to take ownership, but you got to do the things every day that are going to make you mentally, physically, spiritually healthy. Right. And so you kind of have that moment. Then do you kind of get a workout plan, or where do you go from there?
Yeah, just realize I need to start losing weight. That's number one. Because so honestly, my workout plan was nothing. It was get up and walk, go out for a walk once a day.
Great place to start, man.
I owe it a lot. Shout out to my buddy Curtis. He was probably the one guy that I like created this bond with, and he became like, he might not know it, like I was just had someone to be accountable for. So like he was in the same kind of boat, not necessarily like he had goals, I had goals. We both wanted to get these goals, and just having someone to be accountable for. So I just started walking, and I started not drinking 3 Cokes a day. That's it. It was as simple as that for the first month, maybe making a little bit more conscious decisions. Like maybe I won't eat this Big Mac today or whatnot. Cause I was hitting before all that, like Wendy's every day at lunch while I was at the
I worked
office.
at McDonald's, man. They put crack in that food. I haven't eaten that in about 8 years, but I tell you what, if you eat a McDonald's fries, all you can think about for the next month is McDonald's fries, man. They do put crack in that stuff.
It is. They do. Yeah. So yeah, just started out simple, walks and diet. Diet was the biggest thing. Just not eating junk every single moment I could do. Like pop was probably the number one thing. Went from drinking 3 a day to basically I drink 1 a week, maybe 1 every 2 weeks now, kind of thing.
Massive changes. If you just do the math on that, that's probably a pound a week, 2 pound and a half a week just off that. And then if you add the walks, that's another pound and a half a week. Okay, boom, right there. You just lost 12 pounds a month, you know?
Yeah, I lost 20 pounds pretty quick with not a lot of change. But the back pain, it took a while. Like the pain itself, the body took, I would say, a year and a half before I really started not feeling the back pain. But that I think was more when I started adding more stuff into my workouts. So I went from walking, I listened to Shia LaBeouf on repeat. That was my jam. His 2-minute pep speak about yesterday you said tomorrow. So then I would listen to that, and then I got to this point where I was like, yesterday I said I was going to start running, so today I'm going to just run up the hill. And then the 30-second run turned into a minute. The minute turned into 2, and then I just kept compounding it. And now I'm up to every morning. I'm out there. I'm running close to 5K. That's the first thing I do in the morning. I wake up, I go outside, and I'm running.
And you're doing this in Canada, where some days it's I've seen you out there in the rain. You're out there no matter what, right? Rain or shine, snow.
Rain or shine, yeah. Luckily, I'm not like the Shiver King. I live in Vancouver, so it doesn't get super cold. In the dead of winter, I think the hardest part is the darkness. The dead of winter, waking up at 5:30 in the morning is the hardest part. It's cold. It's still negative, below freezing, but it's like -1, -2 Celsius. So whatever that is.
34, 35.
Yeah, we're not getting to -30, -40, what the rest of Canada might feel.
Okay.
But yeah.
2 things with this, man. Number one, I think for anybody that's watching this that says, man, I'm just in a spot I don't want to be, where you were at the lowest of the lows, man, can't get off the floor, probably 100 pounds over your ideal weight, just in a bad spot. And it's not this once in a life big transformation. Oh, I'm going to go really hard no, man, you cut out soda and you implemented a daily walk. That was it, and I've seen this time and time again where clients will come to me and they got this I need to lose 100 pounds. Okay, we're going to cut this and this out. No, I need to do 20 things. We're just going to do these couple things. We're going to start there. You're going to implement those as habits. Then you're going to form those as part of who you are. 2 years later, every day, you're still up and running, man. And can I ask, that's the second part of this I want to highlight, is what gets you up now? Because, hey, man, you look great. Now you got great job, great side hustle. You're actually coaching guys now too, coaching in poker, coaching in life. You got a good YouTube channel. You got a great network of friends. You're getting married in a week. You got all these great things. So do you ever feel that tendency to maybe let off the brakes, or what gets you out of bed at 5:30 when it's dark and it's raining?
Just honestly, it's the wife. She fires me up more than anything, because I want to be the best man I can be for her. She motivates me more than anything. Number 2, I want to go to outer space. I'll say this all the time whenever someone asks. I want to go to outer space, and in my opinion, they are not going to take fat astronauts unless you want to pay a lot. So you got to be in shape for that. So I want to be ready for that. Those are the 2 main things. I know it's cheesy, but the routine, just having the same routine every single morning makes it a lot simpler, because you don't have to decide, because it's like ingrained in your brain after like a month of doing it. It's ingrained in your brain. Like there's no other real option. You miss it and you actually feel like crap if you miss it. It wasn't easy getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I was the guy that used to start work at 7:30. My alarm would go off at 7:10. I'd be out the door at 7:15. and I'm at work and in my desk at 7:30. I've been awake for 20 minutes and I'm
That's
at my
most
desk.
people, I think.
And
Yeah.
it is most people.
And then you're probably scarfing down coffees, sugar, trying to
got to hit that McDonald's drive-through breakfast,
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
sadly that's most people. And then they wonder, why am I hungry again an hour and a half later? Number one, well, you just ate a bunch of empty carbs, sugar. And then number two, why do I have anxiety? Why am I stressed? Why does my mind feel cluttered? Why, yeah, you haven't put any intent behind your day. And so that morning routine, man, I think that's both of us, what we tell people, that's where you need to start, right? Is just get those non-negotiable, man. I mean, I joke with people, there's about a month and a half ago where I've done my gratitude journal today was 1,411 days in a row without missing a day. 1,411 days.
Yeah, I love when you throw out that number because I kind of want to go back sometimes. Like, all right, is he carrying the one? I don't know.
Well, I just have my first entry, and then I literally go to Google and I type it in. It tells you how many days. But there was a day about a month and a half ago where I was puking at like 4 a.m, and I was literally between heaving in the toilet, I was writing my gratitude. And it's just because that's who I am. And I tell myself, that's who I am. I'm a grateful guy. Even when I'm getting sick, I'm going to figure these things out. And so for you, it sounds like you just identify as, hey, I'm a walker. Now I'm a runner. And this is just who I am. This is what I do. It's not negotiable. If I don't feel like it, it doesn't matter. I get up and do it, And that's a big shift, man, in your mind. How do you feel like, where did that kind of turn, man, for you, where these things just became non-negotiable?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, it just slowly compounded, and I got to a point I feel good. Like I'm at the point, if I eat something that I used to eat, I feel like crap. Or if I do something I used to do, I just feel like crap. I guess like you just hit on journaling, just writing out how I felt through the whole process. From the beginning, I was journaling daily. Just writing out, oh, my back hurts today, or this made me, or my mental, this is making me angry, or just whatever it could be. And then slowly I dissect that. Okay, this shouldn't make me angry because of this, or I shouldn't be angry about it because that doesn't even matter, or just things like that. And eventually I'm just at the point where I'm like, I don't need to write that I'm angry. Like, I'm not angry anymore. Like, because I've programmed my brain to realize that it doesn't matter. Those things don't matter. And it was just slow. Even like waking up, I'm up at 5:30 now. It didn't start that way. Started 10 minutes at a time. I start at 7, then 6:50 for a week, and then 6:40 for a week. Small steps. And I think that's what stopped me from really having the fallback, is that I did the small steps. I didn't try to just, all right, 5:30, I'm going to start doing it now. Because that probably would have not worked out so well if I just tried to do an hour and a half earlier than I was used to. Might have done it for a couple days. Then I'd be like, I'm tired. I'm going to go back to sleep.
It usually lasts about 2.5, 3 weeks. That's what I've noticed with people who try and make 10 changes at a time, or these big drastic, hey, I haven't moved in 19 years. I'm going to start running a 5K every day. Bro, you're going to do that, for 2 weeks, 2.5, then you're going to be sore and tired. You're going to stop. I love how it's those small, tiny changes. But then when you look over, I mean, you're a young man, but wherever you're at in life right now, even if you're 40, man, watching this, dude, if you make these changes by 41 and a half, 42, you can be a completely different person, and it can change the next 50 years of your life. It can change your kid's life, your grandkid's life. Like, it's just all these little things do compound and they add up, man. And it's amazing to see where you're at, man. And I love the fact you alluded to Kristen. I hope to get to meet her. You guys are coming to Vegas here, right?
Well, we're going to come down in July. You're definitely going to meet her. She wants me to ask you about the vegan taco place you talked about on the old podcast. So
Annie and I will definitely get a sitter, and we'll go there with you guys, man. That place is bomb, man. It's really good. Yep. There's a couple little vegan cafes here that we actually.
Yeah, Vegas food's great. We love Vegas.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. But yeah, so she's kind of your why too, and it sounds like you guys have this great relationship where getting to know you, it reminds me a lot of me and Annie. And I actually just wrote a tweet a little bit ago because it got me thinking that I feel like there's two of me most days. Like, Annie just makes me so much better. Like, she helps me, she encourages me, she builds me up. She just does so many things for me. And in turn, I of course try and continue that cycle. But can you kind of talk about you guys' relationship? You're getting married in a week. Give us the lowdown on that, man. Just a lot of exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, it's the wedding's in a week. It's going to be just simple. We're eloping style, so it's just us on the water, and just like we got 2 photographers, the woman that's doing the ceremony and our sister-in-law doing the witness, and that's basically it.
Awesome.
We met online, believe it or not, when I was in Alberta.
Tell me it was a Tinder match. Was it a Tinder match?
Plenty of fish. Shout out to
Plenty
plenty of
fish.
fish. The one thing we regret saying is that we didn't save our profiles, because when we started like actually seeing each other, we're like, all right, we're gonna delete our profiles. But like looking back, we wish we kept them, because the main reason she messaged me, she was the one that messaged me. The main reason she messaged me was my occupation. This was bluffing at big pots.
That's hilarious, man.
So yeah, when I first met her, that's when I was playing poker. I was in Alberta. I was living in Edmonton. I was like there for 2 months, so I was on my second month there. But I knew the whole plan the whole time was to come to Vancouver, so I'd already set up my account to start looking for girls in Vancouver. So for when I was here, but I think the main thing that got us together and why it's been so successful is that communication between us is top notch. Like something bothered us, no problem. From the beginning, we were authentic. No games, never any games. I came from a relationship where it felt like games constantly, and it kind of did a lot of learning about myself and relationships from that relationship to when I met Kristen. And we just immediately hit off, and we had the same life goals. We wanted to go to the same places. We wanted to kind of accomplish the same thing. We were both kind of she had what I was looking for in my long-term partner and vice versa. So it just worked.
So when she messages you, you just message her back and you go grab a cup of coffee, you grab first date, and then it just, how long I always wondered this when people meet online. When did you have that conversation where you said, hey, should we get off Plenty of Fish? Should we get off the other dating sites?
Yeah, this one was a little different just because I was in a different province at the time when we started talking. So she'll laugh at this, but so we messaged a little bit. I'm really bad at the online, because it wasn't going to my phone at the time. I didn't have a smartphone either. I was just full on no attachments, Buddha style, living in my car, kind of nothing. So whenever I had access to a computer is when we would message, and I stopped messaging her actually. And I was with my sister. We were traveling through the Rocky Mountains, Banff and area. So I was gone away from all things for a week, and I come back and I have a message from her that's, why did you stop messaging me? What happened? Honestly, at the time, online dating, there's so many catfish and so many of those people that are just they're fake profile, and they're just hookers or they're whatever trying to and she was so beautiful in my mind. I was like, this got to be, I'm so used to these kind of women, and it's got to be one of those. But no, somehow I lucked out on that, and I did message her back. She's like, no, I actually admit, I thought you were just too good to be true, is what I basically said. And then
it's a good
from
line
there,
right there.
Exactly. So yeah, at that point I was still in there, and I said, hey, I'm coming. I'll be there. I'll be in British Columbia November 1st. I met up with her November 3rd. So 2 days after arriving here,
Nice,
I met up with her, and the rest is history, really.
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations, dude. I'm so pumped for you, man. And you guys kind of creating that best future together. I know you guys are really big on you carve time out, take date nights every week. You really do all the right things, man. I mean, you and I talk a lot about relationships and a lot of this deeper stuff, man. And it's so good to see people going into a marriage in such a healthy way, and not being afraid of conflict. If you disagree on something, you have to be able to talk about it. I think that's probably the biggest mistake I made in previous relationships before Annie was I would just bury it and just go play more poker, go do something else. And then 2 years goes by and you don't really realize it, but now you're resenting that person for things that you should have spoken up about, and it goes both ways,
Yeah, just setting your barriers and expectations early. Pretty much, I laid it out on the table. This is who I am. This is what I like. At the first time we met, I was like, poker is going to be up here. You can maybe be down here. But that's obviously not the case anymore. But she understood. She understands poker and its cruel mistress. So.
And now, man, I know one of the early things you and I talked about was I challenged you. Yeah. And I know you'll message me now. I got crushed in online, but Kristen will never know. And that was a big turning point for me in my life too, where nobody knows if I'm winning or losing at poker. If I play a session, it's, it's a fun side hustle for me now, but like, I can log on and lose 15 buy-ins. I'm still going to go down and be a fun dad and a great husband. Yep. Like nobody's going to know. And I know we talk about that a lot. And I think that's a big thing that any guys that are into poker watching this too, set a goal of that. I have a one-on-one client right now who just admitted about 4 or 5 hours ago on the phone, I'm not going to say his name, but he just said like, I'm a different person when I'm winning and when I'm losing. And so that's what we're working on is dude, you got to just be fully focused. Like even it relates the same mindset to your fitness. It's just about the process, right? It's getting up every day, doing the right things. And you approach poker, I think the same way. You can approach your relationships the same way. I'm going to be open. I'm going to try and get better at being a husband every day. I try and tell myself that, what can I take off your plate? What can I do for you? How can I help? How can I encourage more? And you kind of go in it with that mindset, and then the results are the results. You can't control some of these other things.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one thing I've gotten from our little or big Twitter world at this point. Just how to be a good husband going into it. There's so many great dads, so many great husbands out there on the Twitter that I've just been taking notes and putting what they say into action. And honestly, that's one of my goals, is just to be the best man I can be for.
That's awesome,
set the stage. So yeah,
I got chills right there, man. I think it's, you talk about too, kind of that Twitter cheat code, how if you're intentional and you follow the right people, I know I talk about this quite a bit, but it's like, man, every day I wake up and I learn. Like I go on Twitter first still. I know I have a business on there and do other things. I'm on there every single day learning, man. And I, guys like Dan Go, Zach Hommel, Cynthia Thurlow, I can name a lot of these people that have legitimately changed my life so much, and if you'll curate a really intentional timeline, I think that's available to anybody. Everybody's putting this stuff out there for free. Everybody wants to help you,
Yeah, you just got to get rid of the negative voices in your life and replace them. It's so easy to replace them, definitely on there, with the right voices that just will bring out the best version of you, or just people out there sending good words, and they can touch you in a spot that you're just get you fired up. I remember when I'm first starting out early in jiu-jitsu, like probably third time. This is before we started working together, before you knew me. I watched one of your videos about 2-minute pump up video, because I was in a battle in my mind of, oh, I'm so sore, I don't want to go, and just something you said in like 1 minute, 2-minute video. It's like, all right, I guess Tyler should go for Tyler, even though he has no idea who I am.
I love that, man. I loved it. That was probably when I was reading the David Goggins book. I actually need to reread that again, because I was making so many fired up videos during that. I'd literally go run sprints like 3 times a week. And I don't even remember some of the stuff I was saying, but you can do it, get after it. just going crazy, man. That book fires you up, man. But
best book.
Yeah. I love that, man. And I love the fact that like, you have an impact on me. Like, I was struggling with poker a few weeks ago. I remember telling you like, bro, the game just doesn't make sense. Like I've been winning 19 years and now I'm doubting if I can win again. And you said something that had a profound impact. You're like, oh, just write about it. I've been writing about it, about poker. And then dude, I just started outlining it and writing about it. And dude, it's just a game I have fun at. Why am I ever stressed? And then it's just that little mindset switch. Now I've been crushing the last couple of weeks again, man. It's those little things, man. But that's why I love having been like you, having been like that we keep in our circle, man, that they're going to say things that you need to hear and make you better. But that doesn't happen by accident, right? Like I'll get to meet you in a month, but we've intentionally sought each other, intentionally have this growth mindset, want to be around people like us, that are going to encourage you and make you better. And you got to seek that out.
Yep, definitely. It's out there. If you want something, it's out there. You just got to go out there and get it. That's basically it.
Yeah, I love that, man. Well, can you talk a little bit about jiu-jitsu as well? Because I know that's been a cool journey for you, man. And I've been liking watching you do that. And then also, can you talk about the cold water plunge, dude? This is something. Do you do cold showers daily too?
Daily.
Oh man, yeah, that's one thing. I'm so.
They're not even cold. Like at this time of year, they're not even cold anymore. So it's kind of sad in a way at the same time. So yeah, jiu-jitsu, I'm still relatively a novice. Started last year, 2021, in like August. So we're coming up on 1 year, but it was one of the things on my bucket list when I first left Ontario 7-8 years ago. I was going to learn jiu-jitsu. I was really into Rogan at the time when I was leaving. So I was like, there was 2 things on my list of that. One was jiu-jitsu. The other one's surfing. Surfing still, it's coming up maybe this summer. Nice. But I don't know what held me back all these years. probably fear, as what is usually the case for most things, that you don't go out there and try. You're afraid of something that doesn't usually exist. It's something that your mind's told you exists that's not really there. But I don't even know what caused me that day. One day I just go on, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go. So I go on Google and just find what jiu-jitsu gyms nearby. And lucky for me, I must have like hit the jackpot with the dojo I ran into or whatnot, because these people are amazing people, and they're beasts, and they're fearless, and they're gonna be legends, like these guys. But I show up my first day. I'm nervous, like super nervous. I have no idea what to expect. The idea, I'm gonna go talk to the guy. I walk in, and some giant Brazilian dude. He's got to be like 6'5". He's like super jacked and just covered in tattoos. So I'm a little intimidated. But as soon as I start talking to him, he's like the most gentle soul I've ever, like, just
always the case, man.
calming and like, oh yeah, this is it. You just want to watch, sit on the side and watch, and you can do that. So that was the plan. I was gonna be there and just watch the class and see if there's someone who's interested. Luckily for me, the guy that was teaching the class before that comes up to me, and everyone's super friendly. Like, your friend, they're like, oh, nice to meet. Like, everyone's introducing. He's like, well, the best, you won't really know if you're gonna like it until you do it. So why don't you just join in this class? I was like, okay. And so I get in the rental gi and a suit up, and I'm so nervous, but like, it's just the most intense workout, my first class. And looking back at it now, it's probably like basic. But by the end of it, most of it's like the first half is just like cardio and just like nothing to do with the actual jiu-jitsu, just kind of warming up. But by the end of the whole class, I'm like lightheaded. I'm like gonna pass out. I'm like gonna die. But by far one of the best workouts I've had in my life. That what it felt like that day.
And now you're like a year in, and have you gone up belts now?
So no, I'm still a white belt. So the way it works is you go from white to blue, but you get stripes along the belt.
Okay.
So I have 2 stripes on my white belt. Should be getting that 3rd stripe real soon. But it's so hard to know, because like the first stripe I got pretty quickly, because I made progress pretty quickly, because I went from not being able to do anything to that. And I got my second one pretty quickly, but now I'm going on like probably 6 months, 7 months, close to it now, without getting one. And it's more of a product, kind of what your coaches see in timing and promotions and stuff. But jiu-jitsu, it really teaches you that progress isn't linear at all. I forget the name of that curve that goes like, you're up really fast, you think you're amazing, and then all of a sudden you're way back at the bottom, even lower than where you started. And that's very much the case with jiu-jitsu. It's really, after my first class, my mind was just racing, because it was like something I'd never experienced before. I'd never been a fighter, never gotten to confrontations and been able to do that. But part of like going back to the why we were talking about earlier, want to be able to, if something happens, to be able to protect my family and protect me, and if de-escalate a situation ever. So that was part of the motivation to get started. And I go 2-3 times a week, same group of people. And if you ever see sometimes on my Twitter, I post some pretty nasty bruises that I get. Yeah. That's one thing you can expect if you're training jiu-jitsu, you're going to be covered in bruises.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that reigns true, what you said too, about like the 6'5" jack dude that's so nice. And then everybody in the class that they may be way more advanced than you, but they're so nice and they want to bring you along and they want to help out. And I think that's a common misconception of whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's the gym, whether even the poker community to some degree. People generally, if you seek out they want to help you, And I've always noticed that the biggest, strongest dudes are always the friendliest ones, man. I mean, I know in my life there was, when I weighed 149 pounds soaking wet, and I was drunk one night and just met this dude named Colby, who was this Greek statue looking guy. And he just chatted him up for a bit. And he said, well, come lift with me tomorrow. Just come lift, man. I'll show you what to do. Yeah. And for the next year, I just went and lifted with him every day. That guy just poured life into me. He didn't get much out of it, to be looking back. Like, I was just constantly learning from him. I don't think I taught him much of anything, but like, he just wanted to help. And then other people in that gym kind of took me under their wing and they taught me what to do, and like, it just, that's such a familiar story. And I think anybody who's listening to this, I don't know if I'd fit in a gym or anything. Dude, go in and just talk to people. They'll want to help. Tell them you're a beginner. you'll have 10 people around you before you know it. They'll want to help you, you know?
That's a common story at the dojo too, is that people, I'm just going to wait until I get into shape before I start participating. But no, I'm telling you, like, I was not in great shape at that time. This was just less than a year ago. Like, I'd lost all the weight, but I hadn't gotten the muscle, hadn't gotten the shape yet. I was still pretty sore after those jiu-jitsu, after doing it for an hour. But those guys, like, that place it's a very interesting place because there's absolutely no room for ego whatsoever. And if you have an ego, you will be put in check instantly because they can pick up on it instantly, and they'll tap you out, they'll choke you out, they'll do whatever. There's always someone, no matter how good you are, there's always someone that's gonna beat your ass basically there.
Yeah, that was even from previous guests where we had our MMA, a couple MMA guys on, and they both said it doesn't matter even when you're a black belt. Like, there's always somebody, that's a little bit tougher, man. That you can't have an ego. That's pretty cool, man. I like that. Well, there's so many other. I have 10 other things here. I'd like. I knew this was going to happen.
This happens on all the podcasts.
I know, man. I need to start going Joey Ingram style and making them 7 hours. But one other thing I want to get into is now that you're kind of coaching and you're creating these multiple streams of income where you have a couple clients, you're doing poker pretty regularly, and that's a pretty consistent income month to month, still working the good insurance job. And you kind of have this mapped out vision for your future, man. Kind of tell us a little bit about that. What's that look like? Are you enjoying the coaching process, growing a social media brand too? It's exciting stuff to see, man.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. That it kind of goes back to why I got into my current job, is I just want to help people. And it came to me in like meditation one time. I've learned so much over this past 2 years that I can share and help with other people. So it's kind of just been something I want to do. I feel like it's a way I can give back to community. I can help inspire and bring leadership back into my life, because I always found I work best from a leadership perspective. With Jocko Willink, really, his book pumped me up too. Long term, like couple years, the long-term goal is to be at least cut back on the insurance job. I don't know if I'll give it up. I might go into independent contract work to still do it, because I do enjoy the industry itself. It's very fascinating, and I work with some really cool people, and it's like poker, man. It's like I deal in litigation, so like there's bluffing, there's lawyers, there's risk, there's equity, like all that same stuff. It's just a skill I have, and it's where I could see just having, even if I work part-time for them or that, but I also want to like just scale up, like you were talking about, help more people that get more access. And I find that job eats up more time than I'd want it to be able to build those other things. But at the same time, it's helped, like I said, bring a foundation to the relationship I'm building. And while Kristen, she's still studying, she's working towards being a full-blown nutritionalist up here in Canada. So
good for you too. And Annie's got a PhD in nutrition. I love it. It's amazing.
It's one of those cheat codes you talk about, having someone having someone that knows what they're doing when it comes to that. And so she'll be done in about a year. So I feel like our timelines are kind of merging. She's going to be like ready to do her thing, and I'll be able to start. I'm kind of like holding the fort down for both of us in a way, so that we can take these shots at what we want to do. And then in a couple of years, I'll hopefully be building the business and of my own. And that, and super long term, we're hoping to have a place in Vegas that we can spend half our time, really.
I love it, man. That's okay. Well, and me and my wife have a plan. In 16 years, you can rent out my place half a year, because we're going to get an RV and go out camping. When all our kids are gone, my wife and I are going to spend a lot of time in the desert, man, just out in the middle of nowhere, I think. Yeah. But that's awesome, man. Dude, I love seeing you, connecting with you, seeing the growth, seeing you just crush life, man. You're a guy that helps me a lot. I think, we have such a good like brotherhood and friendship. You're one of my best buddies, man. I love you, bro.
Love you too, man. Appreciate it.
All right. One thing you got to change is put the Cardinals ahead of the Blue Jays. I see it on your board back there. You got them at 10th, man. Come on, move them up.
Well, they played this past week and they went 1-1, and run differential wise, they were dead even, but the Cardinals were at home, so they should have won. So gotcha. I gave the edge to the Jays.
I like it, man. Well, as you know, we end all the pods with the rapid fire questions, man. Yep. Can I ask before we get into them, do you have Milo close?
I do not know. He
Oh
was
man,
at
okay.
the.
You guys
I
got to
should've.
check out Alex on. He's got a great YouTube channel too, and he's also got great content on Twitter. I love following this guy too. He's got the cutest freaking dog in the world.
French
I'll
bulldog,
never.
yeah.
I got so inspired by your content idea when you were doing the playoff picks in the NFL, and you put treats, and then whichever treat Milo went to, that was like the pick of the week. That was
He was not good.
Against him. Yeah, he didn't pick well, man.
No.
He went to the wrong treat a lot. But that was hilarious, man. That'll come in one of the questions here in a bit. But let's get into the rapid fire questions, man. So number one, man, excluding present company, give me your top 3 Twitter follows, man.
Oh, top 3. Okay. So poker wise, Kevin Martin is I love following him. He's so smart and he just crushes, and he has the work ethic the past year and a half. It's very inspiring. So
we need to get him on the podcast.
Yes.
He follows me on Twitter. I follow him. I'm going to message him.
Okay. Get him on here because he's the best and he's Canadian. So Steven Success Theory. I love that guy. He's been on this pod, of course. And he always brings some amazing productivity and those kind of things that I love to see, and I'll get so intrigued with that. And it blew my mind that I found out me and Steven actually used to work in the same building together, and we didn't even know it. Like now that I look back, I remember where he was sitting. Like I remember walking past him. That is
wild, man. And now you're sharing on Twitter every day, and that's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
it's crazy.
Wild.
Number 3. Wow. I know. I had this ready. I know the rapid fire questions. I just know what they're all about. I can't. Nothing's coming to my mind this second.
All right, we got 2, man. If you think of another one as we go, this is one I'm gonna ask. Milo is your favorite. It's like he's like your kid, right? Like he's
as close as a dog can be to simulating a kid. I'm about to argue that they actually do. Don't worry.
All right. Well, here's the question then. If somebody came in today, they knock on your door, they're a billionaire, and they said, dude, that's the cutest dog I've ever seen. I'll give you $1 million cash, and I'm going to give him a great life. And I'll send you pictures every month, but you can never see him again. $1 million. Would you give him away?
So this is a tough question, mainly because if it were up to me, I don't feel like it's up to me.
So you have to consult.
I'm getting married, so it's a team decision, and I know the answer is no.
Okay,
so,
$1 million.
I would, like if it were up to me, I might say yes. But
that's funny, man. Well, I was actually in Vancouver for the Winter Olympics like a decade ago, and we had Canada. What was it? Canada, Russia hockey tickets, like 4th row center ice. And we won a lottery. My buddy won a lottery. And so we were at the game. And as we're walking in, some guy offers us like a stupid number for these tickets, man. 12x, something like that, what we paid. And I'm like, bro, we got to do this. And he's like, I'm Canadian. You don't understand. He's like, there's not a number. I'm going to this game. There's not a number.
It's pretty gross that I know exactly the game you're talking about and what that game. Yeah.
Canada won. Yeah. I remember my buddy got so drunk. Shout out to Brian. I love this guy so much. He ended up falling down the stairs and he had to be on crutches, which ended up amazing. Then they gave us access to the players' elevator, and we had tickets to the rest. So we got to meet and talk to some of the players in that, just because he got drunk and fell down the stairs.
The Canadian way. Yeah.
All right, man. Number 3. What's the most impactful book you've ever read?
I would say there's 2 here. The first one being the 4-Hour Work Week, because that was the book that made me quit my job that first time. Just the first 50 pages, honestly, of that book just changed my life. And that's where I really pulled out what's the worst that could happen. So that's where I really learned that. Otherwise, like on this next go around, it's the David Goggins for sure. Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah, man, that book. Just don't read it right before bed. You won't sleep.
Special shout out to Extreme Ownership for sure too.
Dude, yeah, those books are just, man. Yeah, I didn't even finish Extreme Ownership either. I read like the first 7-8 chapters, and then I'm like, I get it. I took a bunch of notes on it, and I'm like, I'm literally gonna apply this, change my life. It's massive. All right, man. This one I'm interested in because you're a massive sports guy. I want to know who's your favorite Major League Baseball player?
Currently, it's Nolan Arenado.
Okay.
Your boy from the Cardinals.
I like that, man.
He is my favorite.
I like it.
As a kid, Carlos Delgado.
Carlos Delgado for the Jays. Oh yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was a great player back in the day, man. I remember that whole team actually. They had a great team.
That's the team that made me start loving baseball for sure.
Really? Nice, man. All right, who's your favorite NFL player currently?
Geez. Probably I gotta go. Honestly, it's kind of cheesy, but I like the Dolphins, so it's Tua.
Yeah.
I gotta go for Tua.
They get a lot of upside, man. They could be really good. All right, who's your favorite hockey player?
Right now, it's got to be Connor McDavid. I just love the excellence from him. Sidney Crosby, obviously, is one, but growing up, Mario Lemieux was my favorite. I
used to pretend to be him when we would play hockey, man, when we were kids.
I had a hockey stick with his fake signature on it. It was my
That's
favorite
awesome,
stick.
man.
Yeah.
And then you might have already answered this. Who's your favorite poker player? Is it Kevin Martin?
No, Phil Ivey for sure, for being just deadly assassin. My favorite entertaining poker player has got to be Tony G.
Yeah, dude's amazing, man. Yeah, did you see that hand with Helmut with Ivy and Tony G where Ivy turns top 2 and leads and Tony G raises and he just folds it? He tells him, I know you have bottom set, and he folds it.
No, I have
literally just watched that before bed last night.
I'm surprised. Is it new?
Yeah, it's pretty new. It's only a few days old, but I just couldn't believe it. He just sits there and talks about it. And it's like, it's a tournament. Like we're talking 20 big blinds and he has top 2 and he just like, nah, I know you have a set, and he pitches it. And it's like that Ivy is just a different level.
No, man. Phil Ivy's just like a cold killer. And I love his poker face and just the way he plays. And Tony G is just hilarious. And I love how he stirs up the shit on the table.
Yeah, man. He's good.
Of course I lied, Phil. It's poker.
Yeah, man. So many classic lines over the years, man.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, last one. Give us some that you kind of talked about, but your future plans, where people can find you. Obviously you're gonna do it. We're gonna link all your stuff.
I'm gonna link all the stuff below. But honestly, the best way, Twitter right now is where I'm there daily, checking it out. Messages on there. It's probably a pretty quick way to find me. My YouTube sports channel, I'll link that below too. And it's basically it's probably the best 2 spots to find me.
I do want to say for anybody out there listening, man, if you want to really get in, maybe you're a beginner and starting to get into fitness or in a weight loss journey, or you want to change your mindset a little bit, reach out to Alex, man. This guy honestly has the mindset of a champion. He's probably charging 1/20th of what he'll be charging in 2 or 3 years.
That's the truth.
That would be my best advice is reach out to this guy and message him, man. He's a champ.
I appreciate that. I just want to give a special shout out to the growth crushers out there.
Yeah,
you know who you are. You guys helped me get to where I am today for sure.
Yeah, I was actually looking at a lot of those guys. I want to get a lot of those guys on the podcast too, man. I just love that group of men. It'd actually be cool to even have a Zoom with a bunch of them on.
Yeah.
We got a core group on Twitter that all of us kind of engage with every day and love these guys from all over the world, man, which is just so neat,
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Twitter's crazy.
It is, man. It's a cheat code, dude, if you use it right.
Definitely.
All right, brother. Well, I can't believe it's been an hour, but thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Because of you, I know this is episode number 35 Tyrompers No Limit Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go be kind to others. Go be kind to yourself today. Bless up. Let's go change the world. Start within and be our best selves, baby. So any last words for the people, my man?
No, just have a good one. Peace out.
All right, man. Thanks again for coming on, brother.
Later.